Hello, this week we're going to be talking about the number 9. The reason that number 9 is so magic is because of the principles that lie within the number. Now, I'm sure in the past you've seen people show you a trick where you break a number down with the principles of 9 to get to the answer. For example, if you were doing 7 times 9, you would say 1 from 7 is 6, and 6 from 9 leaves 3, and that's the answer. And that's a good trick, and I'm sure you can use that all the way down for single numbers, but that will not work for double numbers or anything above that. So I'm going to show you basically a new technique that I hope that you're able to practice, use, and this will also be something you can do for your brain practice, for your mental practice, which I mean, like, as you get older, you need to continue to work your brain, and there are brain games you can get, there are things you can buy, but this 9 practice will be a great substitute for anything like Sudoku or any other type of brain exercise. Let me go back to what I'm saying now. What I want you to do is look at the principles of 9 and use them to multiply any number you want of any length. First of all, you got to understand 2 principles. First, that when you end the number, it's going to be talking about on the right side, you're going to subtract your starting number from 10. Okay, so if you were doing, let's say, 27 times 9, you're looking at the 7 and you're going to subtract 7 from 10. That will be a 3. And you write 3 down. Then what you're going to do, you're going to look over at the first number on the left and you would subtract 1 from that number. Okay, and so that will be a 1, but you're not quite done. Okay, but that's how any number will start and end. Starting from the right, moving to the left, you would subtract from 10 and you would subtract 1 from the final number. Now, the tricky part, the part that really makes this number magic, is the middle portion. What we're going to do is you're going to look at that number on the left. Okay, in this case it's a 2. You're going to subtract that number from 9. Okay, which simply means that number and what makes 9, and of course that would be a 7. So what you do is you take a number on the right, that's 7, and add it to the 7. And 7 is 14. So next to your 3, you write down a 4. Now what you have here, you have a 1 that you've carried. And your answer is basically done. So all you do now is, instead of reducing that 2 by 1, you leave it because you had a carry. And so you write down a 2. So 27 times 9 would be 243. Okay, and just to check that, if you notice that 2, 4, and 3 equal 9, so your answer has been checked. Now let us go into an examination of this technique and really break it down so you can use it immediately. First of all, you have to understand that when you have a number, you're going to break every single number down by either 9 or 10, and then you're going to add as you go from the right to the left. Okay, so let's have an example here. I wrote down, I have 273 times 9. So what you're going to do, starting with the 3, reduce it from 10, and that's a 7. You write down your 7. Then you look at that 7 and reduce that from 9, and that leaves a 2. So what you do now, you take the 3 and add it to the 2, so it's a 5. Write down the 5. Then you move over to the next number and you see it's a 2. So reduce that from 9 and that's a 7 again. And so you have 7, 7, 14, and you write down a 4. You carried the 1, so you don't have to do anything with that last 2, and you put the 2 down. And that's your answer. Okay? So you have 2, 4, 5, and 7. That's how it's done. Now let's do another example where it's a little bit longer, and just take your time and work with me. Okay, you have 482. Matter of fact, let's make it a little bit longer. Okay, let's make that let's see here, write that. Okay, so now let's make it 4,827 times 9. Let's start with the number on the far right. It's a 7. So reduce 7 from 10, it's 3. Write down your 3, okay? Let's just do that. So you write down your 3. Now you look at your 2, and you reduce that from 9, and that's a 7. So you add the 7 to the 7, it's 14. So you put down your 4, and you carry the 1. Now, what I like to do is when I carry the 1 in a partial number, we're not quite done yet, I don't add the 1 to the number that's coming, I add back to the same number. So instead of that being a 2, it's going to be a 3. And you can just say in your mind, it's a 3 now, okay? You look at the 8 and you subtract that from 9, and that's going to be 1. So 1 and 3 is 4. So you write down your 4. And then you look at the 4, which is the last number, and of course it's going to be a 5. So 5 and 8, that's going to be 13. So you put down your 3, and you've noticed that you've got a carry, and all you got to do is disavow the carry because the 4 will be reduced by 1. Since the carry is there, you leave it as such, and you write down your 4. And that's the answer. That's very easy to do. Now, let's say, for example, if you're going to practice with a long number, it's easy to do because you simply look at it and you do your simple math all the way through. And again, when you have a carry, you either add back to your number as you're going to the right, to the left, and then what you want to do at the end, you can decide whether or not to reduce the number by 1 or to leave it as it is because of your carry. Now let's say, for example, you have just a simple 2-digit number. Okay, so let's just I'll just think of one up. Let's say 55 times 9. Okay, now if you look at this number here, you know it's going to end in a 5 because 5 from 5 leaves 5. Okay, so it's easy. So it ends in a 5, and you know that there's going to be a 4 underneath the other 5. So 4 and 5 is 9. So you know you have 95. You have 95. And so you simply have to look at that 5, reduce it by 1. So it's a 4. So 4, 9, 5. And that's the answer. See, this can become a very easy mental exercise because you can use smaller numbers because you understand the reason behind what's going on. So you're not going to be, let's say, involved with saying, well, is this the right number? Is this the right thing? Because you have trust built with the technique. Let's do another one. Let's just think of another number. Let's say 46. Okay, 46 times 9, same thing. When you see that 6, you simply say it's going to be a 4 because you reduce that from 10. So it's 4. Okay, you know underneath the 4 on the left is a 5. So 6 and 5 is 11. And so what happens, you know it's going to be a 1, and it's going to start with a 4 because you don't have to reduce the 4. And it's easy. So your answer would be 414. And of course that equals 9, so your answer has been checked. Okay, now I'm going to give you one and give you a chance to see if you can figure out what the answer is going to be. I'm going to give you, let's say, 38 times 9. Okay, so think about it. Okay, so you know that you have what? You have an 8, so reduce that by 2, okay, or reduce it to 2 because it's going to be down to 2. So you write down your 2, and then you have underneath a 3 is a 6. So 8 and 6, 14. So whenever I see a carry, I get excited because I know I don't have to do anything with the last number but just write it down. Okay, so you've got, again, you had your 14, so you put down your 4, and then in front of that is your 3. Okay, so it's going to be 342. Okay, and if you look at it, okay, 3, 4 plus 2 equals 9. Okay, so I hope this is something that you can use because this to me is like one of the greatest techniques I've ever seen. I learned this technique way back when, and I was able to challenge people to multiply numbers by 9 and see if I can do it faster. And the traditional way of doing it is so slow and arduous that I was always able to amaze anyone who I showed this technique to. So practice this technique and make sure that when you do this, you understand that you have to always deal with a carried number, but when you bring it back to the number that you're dealing with, it's not going to be that difficult. Okay, you don't have to move forward. You don't have to be afraid of carried numbers, and you can do this with any number you want. You can do this with a 2-digit number, a 3, or anything beyond that, because this is a very easy technique. So thank you for watching, and until next week on our next magic number, have a great day.